You know, from the faintest echoes of creation to the complex code tucked inside our own cells, science is finally learning to read languages that have been hidden from us since the beginning of time. So let's dive in and decode what that really means.
It all boils down to this one fascinating question. If the universe really is full of secret messages, how on earth are we learning to read them?
All right, let's start big. I mean, really big. We're going to start at the largest scale imaginable by listening to the very fabric of space-time itself.
So, the LIGO detectors, they're basically our giant ears to the cosmos, recently picked up something incredible. A signal from two colliding black holes. But here's the thing, this wasn't just any signal. It was the clearest, most pristine recording of a cosmic cataclysm we have ever captured. An event heard so perfectly, it allowed us to test the very limits of physics.
So what do you do with a signal this perfect? Well, you use it to test one of the most legendary theories out there, Stephen Hawking's area theorem from back in 1971. The idea itself sounds kind of simple, but it's super profound. It says that the total surface area of a black hole's event horizon, that point of no return, can never ever get smaller. This is a huge deal because it connects the strange geometry of black holes to the laws of thermodynamics, hinting at this deep fundamental link between gravity and information.
And guess what? They confirmed it. This is a monumental achievement. To put it in perspective, the New York Times pointed out that if this proof had arrived while Hawking was still with us, it very likely could have secured him that Nobel Prize. That's the level of discovery we're talking about here.
And just look at how far we've come. That first detection back in 2015 was world-changing, but the signal was faint, like a whisper. This new signal is 4 times clearer. It's like going from a grainy old photograph to a high-definition video. That leap gives us a kind of precision we could only dream out before for testing these fundamental theories.
So this one single, beautiful signal was a trifecta of cosmic truths. First, it proved Hawking's area theorem holds. Second, it showed that when you disturb a black hole, it vibrates and settles down just like a ringing bell, exactly as Einstein predicted. And third, it gave us the strongest evidence yet that real black holes out there in the universe behave exactly like the theoretical model said they should. Amazing!
Okay, so take a deep breath. We're about to make a huge jump in scale. We're leaving that grand cosmic symphony behind and zooming all the way in, right down into the code that's written inside every single one of us. We're going from the universe to our DNA.
And what are we finding there? Well, researchers have just discovered a danger zone in our genetic code. Get this, the very beginning of our genes has a 35% higher chance of mutating than we ever thought possible.
And this isn't just random. Look at the kinds of genes that are most affected by this hotspot. We're talking about genes that are critical for brain function, for limb development, and yeah, a lot that are directly linked to cancer. The stakes for these tiny mutations are incredibly high.
These errors often happen through this really subtle process called mosaic mutations. See, these are genetic errors that can pop up during those first few cell divisions, right after conception. This means a parent can be totally asymptomatic, with the mutation in only some of their body's cells. But if that mutation is in their egg or sperm, they can pass it on, and their child will have that mutation in every single cell.
There's this fantastic analogy for it. The frantic, rapid pace of cell division at the very start of life is so intense that the cell's repair machinery just can't keep up. Some mutations get missed, left unpatched, and they become like scars on the human genome, a whole new source of mutation we're just now learning to read.
All right, for our final story, we're making another big shift. We've gone from listening to the cosmos and reading our genetic code to actively writing. We're now going inside the most complex object we know of, the human brain.
This is honestly mind-blowing. Scientists have found a way to send secret messages directly to the brain, completely bypassing our senses. Here's how it works. A small, soft, wireless device sits on the skull. It then shines programmed patterns of light straight through the bone to activate specific neurons, creating artificial sensations out of thin air.
And the pace of this innovation is just staggering. Back in 2021, the first version of this device had just a single micro-LED. By 2025, this new device uses an array of 64 programmable micro-LEDs. We've gone from a single pixel to a mini display for the brain in just a few years. But does the brain actually understand it? Yes. In experiments, mice learned to interpret these light patterns as a coded message. They could tell different patterns apart and perform tasks based on the signal. This is huge.
It proves the brain can learn to understand entirely new artificial inputs. We are literally teaching it a new language.
So why does this matter? Well, the potential applications are transformative. We're talking about things like sensory feedback for prosthetics that can feel, artificial vision, new therapies for stroke rehabilitation, mind-controlled robotics, and even modifying how we perceive pain, but without drugs.
So where does all this leave us? What do these three breakthroughs, from the cosmic to the microscopic to the internal, really tell us about our future?
This is where it all comes together. We saw the black hole merger at the cosmic scale, where we're learning the language of gravitational waves. We explored the DNA hotspot at the microscopic scale, decoding the genetic code. And we looked at the brain implant at the internal scale, where we're learning the language of neural signals. Three vastly different scales, one common theme. We're decoding hidden languages.
And this is the journey we're on. We are moving from being passive listeners, just hearing the universe's oldest echoes, to becoming readers, finding the flaws and features in our own biological code, and finally, to becoming writers, capable of composing brand new messages directly into the mind.
Which brings us to a final powerful question. As we make this incredible shift from being simple decoders to becoming authors of these hidden languages, what secrets, what stories will we choose to write into our future?